So far, you've heard a couple of conversations, from the forum so far. What are your expectations?
Well, it's a very exciting platform because it's doing exactly what needs to be done, which is essentially have de-bottleneck sectors, have a good policy for those sectors, and then invest behind those sectors and the infrastructure needed. So it's an ideal platform for what is really necessary. De-bottlenecking, supporting policy, and finding the means and ways to invest both in the business, in the sectors, and the infrastructure that's needed to support those sectors.
How much of an impact do you think this is going to have in Africa, basically to move the needle, especially in priority areas where the continent needs support?
Well, I think it's crucial. It cannot be mentioned how important it is to have good infrastructure, whether that's roads or power, or rail, and to have good policy that supports that, and good partners that are investing and supporting those types of investment.
Okay, I'd like to look at what you're doing at flour mills in Nigeria. 12,000 employees in Nigeria. When you look at the forum like this and the potential it has, how much more do you think you can move the needle, especially for the agri sector, and how industry and agriculture can collaborate, to move investment in the sector?
Well, I think it's vital because agriculture and industry must work hand in hand. Agriculture provides the raw materials necessary for industries to work, and industry depends on those raw materials to get their goods. So unless we unite agriculture and industry, we won't progress either in agriculture, we won't progress either in industry. So the progress is being made, and this forum is helping to support that in a very positive way. FMN is involved in 5 core value chains: in protein, in oils and fats, sweeteners, grains, and starches. So in each of our ventures, we go back and we source the raw materials necessary to process. We process them into consumer and industrial branded goods, and we effectively build the value chain along these core areas, whether it's in palm, in sugar, in cassava and starch, maize and soybean, and all the various raw materials that are necessary to produce a consumer food. And by so doing, we're linking the farmers with the aggregators, with the industry, to the end consumer, and all the logistics that is needed in between. So this is tremendously impactful. And this morning we had a very good conference on the building of a commodity exchange. And we have silos in Kaduna, in Makurdi, in Gombe, Kano, various places around the country, which aggregate raw materials from farmers and farmers associations, store them, get them to the factories, and process them into raw materials. And this is critical to link the farmland with the industrial land, so that we're connecting farmers with industry, and industry in turn are selling back their goods into the heartland. So it's a virtuous circle of GDP growth. This needs good infrastructure, though. You need roads, you need rail, you need good communication, and fortunately technology is helping us in this field because there's many advances in how one can now have pocket connection to the farmers, have financial exchanges, have information, have data. So there's a whole vast area of development along the value chains of food and agro-processing.
I'd like to know how you're engaging with the African Development Bank, how that engagement has been over the years. If there's any.
Well, African Development Bank is very keenly interested in supporting infrastructure and supporting businesses that are in core sectors of society. 8 out of every 10 people in Nigeria earn their living from agriculture. So how do we build agriculture, link it to industry, because that's how both grow, and then take it to the consumer? And agriculture and core industrial sectors are vital for the economy, as is technology, which is the future infrastructure. So ADB is a great enabler to help not only businesses, but help get the infrastructure built as well. So they are really vital partners in progress as we grow as a nation. And FMN's moniker is feeding the nation every day. And it can't be done without very strong partners like the ADB and all the various financial institutions that are here.
I'd like you to speak to what they're trying to do with de-risking investments. They're working with multilateral agencies other multilateral agencies like the MIGA from the World Bank to guarantee, certain projects in different countries?
Well, it's crucial because, one needs capital to invest in sectors, and if your cost of capital ends up being so high and the rest of the world is competing at 3-4%, you need to find ways how you can have competitive source of capital, competitive source of debt, and to manage the risks along the way. Because in any investment, things happen and it may take a little longer than necessary. So you need to find ways how to de-risk it and ensure that what is supposed to happen does happen, how infrastructure is delivered on time, and how we not only de-risk the investment by having good financial terms, but also by getting the partners in that are going to do the infrastructure that will help the project succeed.
Lastly, from the conversations you've had so far, what are the key takeaways you're taking living from this forum?
Well, I think this forum is focused more about doing than talking. It's focused about finding how you find partners that are going to help you build value chains. Because at the end of the day, unless we build the value chain properly, unless we get competitive raw materials, competitive processing, and competitive end product, we won't be competitive. So you need to build the value chain and debottleneck it and support it along the way to that world-class competitiveness. So it's been done. We've done it in cement. There are many other things that are going to be happening, that are happening now, which will make Nigeria not only open its internal market to itself, but build value chains in Nigeria from Nigerian raw materials, to Nigerian processing, to Nigerian SMEs, to Nigerian logistics firms, all the way down to the consumer. And this is a core, essential goal. Every year we're growing 3 million people as a nation. How do we continue our growth if we don't build our supply chains, our internal supply chains? And I think the ADB is very instrumental in opening up another channel for this possibility.
All right, then. So we'll keep our eyes and see how things play out. So